Somebody wrote something, and I want to copy from it to read to the entire country. Why vote in 2023? I understood by books, including the prophecies of Pa Elton, Lance Lambert, and others, that Nigeria will pass through two phases. We are evidently in phase one, meaning that phase two is sure. The decade 2020 to 2030 is critical in God's agenda. Whoever wins the 2023 presidential election in Nigeria will midwife the remaining part, 2023 to 2031. If the devil hijacks this election, especially at the federal levels, then we will mourn the next 4 or 8 years. Every pastor should get his PVC on the one hand and prayer on the second hand. Every pastor should ensure, maybe even compel, all his members of voting age to get and use their PVC. Why? Because on earth, God will only do what he must do through men. In saner climes, the Minister of Transportation, for example, would have resigned after the train hijack that took place in Kaduna. But after 1 full month, and the captives being held between Regina and Kaduna town, our Minister of Transport had bought form for 100 million to become Nigerian president. In a sound environment, the Minister of Education should have resigned because our universities have been closed down for 3 months plus, and no end in sight. But our own junior Minister of Education has bought form for 100 million to become president as a sign of promotion for a job well done. In the senior climb, the sitting Senate president should be impeached for approving loans and enslaving future generations of resources collected and unaccounted for. But our own Senate president has also bought a form for 100 million to move up. In the senior climb, the CBN governor, under whose regime the value of the naira plummeted from 150 naira to $1 to over 600 naira to $1, should have resigned because of incompetence. But himself too sponsored people behind and at the back door to buy him a form for 100 million naira to become Nigerian president. In the senior climb, a man who plundered Lagos, whose wife is a serving senator, whose son is being prepared to become a governor, whose daughter is in charge of all the markets in Lagos, who controls all the internally generated revenue of the entire state, the man who watched our young people during the NSAS massacre, simply asking for good governance. And then to end the police brutality, that man should have been cooling in EFCC custody. But the same person went to buy a form for 100 million and bribed delegates with over $5,000 each to become a leading candidate in a party. In the Senate climb, a man who was vice president for 8 years and head of the privatization and the commercialization of all public utilities, cornered all our common patrimony and sold off NEPA from bad to worse. A man whose principal, Obasanjo, said this. He said, a man that I know very well. And he said, it will be a sin against God and against man to let him rule over Nigeria. He too has also bought a form to become Nigerian next president so that CBN would become his vote. And this man bought delegates with over $10,000 each. So easy for Nigerians to forget. So easy for Nigerians to become a senior. Right before their eyes, candidates of competence and character were presented, but delegates sold the future of their descendants for a morsel of bread. Amazingly, we're living in a nation that 11-year-old